Hello, it's Monday the 28th of October and it's going to be a tricky week, but we still have 4 trading days left in October. And normally, one of the things I was thinking, this rally looks really good in crypto and Bitcoin, and so many really nice altcoins that I've been following have made really cool 3-wave corrections, which are really nice long entries for me. But one of the things that makes me nervous is I kept thinking, well, if US stocks ahead of the election see some really nasty de-risking and they have a big pullback, then that could potentially hurt crypto. But for now, everything looks really bullish. What makes me really nervous is quite often if you see a big move over a Monday morning early in Asian trading or over the weekend, then quite often it will get reversed, or you'll see a bit of a pullback after the US Open. And here we are in exactly that kind of scenario. It looks really strong, for example, in Bitcoin and ETH, and everything is on fire. If we take a look at the weekly chart here in Bitcoin, you can see we were a little bit concerned about this 68,500, sort of 69,000 level. Remember, the previous swing high from November 2021 is the 69,000 level up here. And here we are kind of back testing it. So we're back testing this level now, 69,016 on this index chart. And if we look here on the daily as we head into the US Open, that's exactly the kind of price we're at. I wouldn't be surprised at all, to be honest, if we don't make a little bit of a false breakout or a new high, because Bitcoin, if we go back to the daily chart, Bitcoin's really fond of doing that at levels. Here we made a high at the end of March. We retested it 10 days later, false break, new high. And Bitcoin really loves this on bottoms, on tops. It'll make a high, it'll retest it, get everybody thinking it's going again. Pretty much every one of these highs has been very similar. So even if we push through and we push above 69,000, it really needs to close and hold above it and find support and keep going. If not, then potentially what we have just seen is a bigger kind of flat correction. So we've got a swing lower and ABC, and then we still are due another swing lower. I have been waiting for 64,000 on a pullback to load up some more for a number of reasons. So if I draw my fibs from the high that we made in March to the low that we made in August, when you reverse at a fib level, it's like a ladder. Normally the one you've climbed above becomes support. So when you reverse at the 786 fib level, you look for the 61.8 to be a support. And if not, you know that you're in a bigger pullback. So that would be 64,400 for Bitcoin. The other thing I also look at is the big swing low in the 236 fib. And if I measure that from the low that we made on the 5th of August to this high, that's also where our 236 fib is, 64,700. So for me, if I was going to load up some more for a swing, this had been the kind of level that I was looking for. But heck, if we break out today and keep going, I'm not averse to buying pullbacks either. This whole correction that we've made since March has been a bullish consolidation. So, it's a buy dip market for me until we see which way we're going. So short term, because we've had this really big move ahead of the US Open, I am a little bit nervous that we may see a little bit of a fail here and another swing lower. And if we do, that's where I'm looking to reload here, down here at 64, the mid 64,000s in Bitcoin, as long as I get a buy signal and we find some support there. The other thing that makes me a little bit nervous is if we measure from the low that we made last week, Wednesday, to this high, we're kind of around that measured move level, aren't we? If I measure from here to here, project it from here, that's exactly where we are as we head into the US Open at 69,000 again. And this has been such a cruel level, 69,000 for Bitcoin. So short term, if you wanted to buy, it really does need to pull back. And if you are a US trader looking at this, yeah, you probably, it's too high to buy and no sell signals. So not much of a trade here. ETH is doing, this whole market is kind of moving in the same direction. I have to say that when I look at ETH US dollar, It's still underperforming. There's no way that we can say that ETH is trading at new highs. I'm still looking for a sign of a bottom in this one, and unfortunately with flat moving averages going sideways, I don't really see it yet in ETH. I keep wanting to, and I keep wanting to favour ETH. The one chart that's got me really my attention really though is this Solana ETH chart. If we look at this on the weekly, you can see last week we had a spectacular move to new highs in Solana ETH, well above the highs of 2021, above the highs of the whole of 2024, and a breakout from a really long sideways range. Really a couple of months we'd been in this sideways range last week. Now for me, the first level of support, if we're going to keep going higher, if you're a candlestick trader, when you get a big thrust candle like this, very often if we're going to keep trending higher, 50% of the open close of this candle is where the market will find support, and that kind of puts us back at this kind of fib level and this swing high that I was looking at, and somewhere around 0.06 in 0.060, not 0.060, it's actually 0.065, around there, I think would be where I would be looking for on this weekly candle if we start the week with a little bit of a pullback. I don't think this chart is done yet. There's certainly no kind of topping pattern, and it wasn't a projected level I've had, but I think in a wave 5, and quite often it gets very choppy and overlapping when we get there, and this is a little bit, if we look at it as on a daily, this is going to look like a little bit of a daily swing failure pattern, and that isn't a bearish reversal pattern in itself, but it does usually mean that we're in a little bit of a range and we could come back to the lows of this sideways range and potentially a little bit lower. It's not a sustained breakout. We've stalled really, and you can see this is just what we did here, going sideways. So I wouldn't be surprised to see more of that in Solana against ETH, but that definitely says which one is the outperformer lately, and it's been Solana. And to be honest, it's not hard to see why. If you trade, if you're trading meme coins especially, meme coins on Solana are so fast and easy to buy and sell compared to Ethereum, where sometimes it can take a really long time unless you're using, you're on Telegram or you're using something, the bots, transactions can take a while on ETH. I would really like to see them speed up a little bit. So, certainly for ease of use, and I really love the Phantom wallet, I can see why Solana is preferable over ETH. But I'm still looking for a bottom in ETH, and if we look at ETH Bitcoin, that's the major one that I'm watching for. We've stopped going down and we've sideways. If we look at this on the daily, we are hopefully building a base, and so I'm looking to see if we can make a bottoming pattern here. I kind of like this, normally after a really long trend you'll see 5 ways to finish. I kind of think that that's possible here from the 21st of October high, but we really need to see a bottoming pattern for that, and then I will go back to maybe favouring ETH a little bit more. Okay, so I said that there are a few coins that have got my attention. Let's take a look at some of them, and some of them are making really nice corrective patterns. So let's start with that. Here we go. Popcat. I'm going to start with the weekly chart of Popcat. Again, I'm a really big fan of measured moves. I'm looking at this CoinEx chart, and I'm always looking to see where we have made kind of potentially big 3-wave corrections and projected levels. For me, this isn't really working in terms of this chart, in terms of projected levels. Sometimes I like to put fib extensions on the corrections, so I go from high to low in an uptrend. And you can see we did pause very nicely at the previous high in this 1.618 level, and we're holding above it. So I'm going to lean on that and say if we're going to keep trending higher here, 1.44 is really kind of where I'm looking for this to hold as support if we're going to keep trending higher, but we're a little bit choppy sideways. If we do, though, and if we look how we've been riding this daily 20 moving average all the way up ever since we got this bottoming pattern at the beginning of September. So if we keep having lows here, and we don't break this daily 20 moving average, we're still going higher, and I think that we are heading to at least 2. I think for me that's kind of next fib projection higher in Popcat, At the moment though, this is a little bit choppy and overlapping and sideways. And again, that's quite often an indication that we're in a little bit of a wave 5. And so you need to watch out for a bigger reversal pattern that will bring you back to the bigger swing low, which, you know, we could argue is a little bit lower than where we are now in PopCat. So I kind of would prefer to buy ones where I've seen a really clear 3-wave corrective pattern. So in PopCat, if we were to do this here, first swing lower, a measured move, something like this, back to this, these previous swing lows, that for me, you know, would be a much easier buy for a bigger swing. If we look at this on the hourly, it's a little bit clearer. So as soon as you see a higher low and we roll over from it, that's kind of where I'm looking for. So PopCat, I am still bullish. I'm looking for this to be a correction, but we are actually, I think, in a correction. And if you're looking for a bigger swing, I think we need a bigger pullback towards 1.2, maybe in PopCat. There's a few other little ones that are quite interesting. Let's take a look at some of them. I don't see where I've hidden them. I can't remember what we've got where. Bongo. So this is a daily chart of Bongo. This is quite interesting because I feel like, let's line it up properly. This is a Solana meme, obviously. Now, if I look at this, whenever I see a market that's made, and I'm going to zoom in like this. Let's go down to the 4-hour. Whenever I see a market that's made a really kind of nice, clear 3-wave correction, which I'm going to take this off for a minute, looks like it, then I'm going to look for a bottoming pattern. And a bottoming pattern in this one, after a really nice 3-wave pullback, would be a inverted head and shoulders pattern, something like this. And I would look for this neckline of this pattern to be either 50% or 61.8 of this whole pullback. So if I measure from here to here in Bongo, you can see we have not been able to close above this 50% level at 0.015. So is this correction over and are we going to turn higher again? I'm not sure. I think it looks good, but I do think there is room, if it was to be a balanced right shoulder, for room for us to go a little bit lower. But what's got my attention watching for a bottoming pattern is this lovely big correction that we have made here in Bongo and this lovely pullback to the moving averages. So I'm also interested, you know, in coins that, or memes or launches that, you know, you have the initial rally, which we did in this one, and then you have the big sell-off. Quite often that leads to new lows, and all the people that want to sell get out of it. And then as long as it's got a strong community and everybody likes it, then you'll see it go. And this is what this has done. And we've had this really lovely big swing. Looks like, you know, probably 5 waves up, but this 3-wave correction for me suggests that we are potentially setting up another swing. Worst case scenario, if we see a big 3-wave correction like this, it'll be 3 waves up and then another bigger one to make a bigger 1, 2, 3 before we go again. But yeah, that one's got my attention. Not associated with them, but whenever I see these kind of choppy 3-wave corrections, I'm always interested in trading them on the long side. Klaus is another one that I looked at before. It's a little one. So this is what, let's take this off. This is an hourly chart of Klaus, and we're going all the way back to the highs that we made mid-October. And this is another one that's made a textbook equal measure move. I've measured it from this high to this low, and where we bounced from was the equal measure move. Now, one thing, you know, when you make a 3-wave correction, so you have a big 1, 2, 3, the third swing is very often either equal to the first swing or it's 61.8 of the first swing. Now you can see here, this was the 61.8 level. We kind of tried to make a base here and launch from it, but couldn't. And then getting back above that 61.8 is the kind of confirmation that you have reversed from an equal measured move. So 12,000 in this Klaus would be a bullish reversal. That would also be back above the hourly 200 moving average that was previously support and resistance and so on. So for me, confirmation that we've made a big rally, three-wave pullback, and we're going up again is above this level here. And then because this first swing was so big and nice, going to look for this third swing either to be equal or bigger than this first swing. But worst case scenario, it'll be 61.8, which would still take us up to these highs here around 22,000. And we're at 12,000 with a confirmation level at 12,000, and we're down at 10,000 at the moment. So yeah, that's what I'm looking for in Klaus. And that's these three-wave pullbacks for me are, you know, my favorite reversal entries. So another one that I keep an eye on is Rune, which of course had really good news this week about collaboration with Ledger Wallets. And, you know, this looked initially like it could have been just this rally from the lows here in August could have been just a three-wave measured move. But we're breaking out from this consolidation. As long as we make and hold a new high, we're going to be in a fifth wave. And in crypto, very often the fifth waves extend quite a long way. Worst case scenario, because if I measure it in Rune from the lows that we made in June 2023 to the highs we made in March 2024, this 786 fib reversal pattern getting above this 61.8 gives me a target up here at these highs at 7.3. So we can hold above the new highs at 5.7. I'm looking for, 8.9 next in Rune, and I would not be surprised to see a bit of a wobble here. First target at 7.3. So first target, second target, as long as we make new highs. But this to me is looking pretty good. In Rune, we just always need to be, you know, it's Monday. We haven't quite made the new high yet. I think it looks good because we spent so long building this sideways, and it is on really good news. So that's what I'm looking for in Rune. Now let's take a look at the AI's favorite meme, goat, and see where we are in goats. Let's see. Got quite a lot I'm watching. Sorry, find where we are. I've lost the goat. Sometimes I don't put it on the chart. I just look on my. Let's put the chart up anyway. Not. Here we go. Now, if we go down to the daily, we have had a little bit of a pullback, very similar to the pullback that we had 19th, 20th of October on the daily, very similar in size. And if we are going to keep trending higher, that's kind of the pattern that you look for. If this wave 2 and wave 4, if they're not similar in price, they're very often similar in time, because we're looking for this to make a fifth wave higher. Problem is, if I measure from this low to this high, we're kind of sideways at this equal measured move level. I would like to see it keep going higher for a fifth wave, which would mean that we measure the first swing and we project it from here, which points us to this round number 1 and potentially 1.35. And potentially we're going to take, if this is wave 3, the most common retrace of a wave 3 is usually 38.2 or 50%. And in this case, we've made a very nice textbook three-wave measure move back to the 50%, which is kind of my favorite. So if this is going to fail, because these mean reverting 50% things tend to happen halfway back. So until we can get above 0.722, we're still sideways, and we're right in the middle of the middle, don't diddle in the middle of this correction. 0.072. So I'm going to mark that. That's kind of going to be my bull bear line for goatsy. At the moment we're a little bit sideways. I would love to see like a little inverted head and shoulders pattern here, something like that, and then a push above that level. That would say on our way up again. First target would be the top of the channel. If we draw it as a parallel channel, it's going to look something like this. Let's extend it. We'll go from this high here. First time it will be the top of the channel, then out of the channel we retest the highs and then new highs and a big fifth wave from there. So not quite a bottom that we need to see yet in goat. And again, I just have a feeling this week could be a little bit tricky. So I'm being a little bit careful with this one. Another little one that I'm talking about my book at the moment, which makes me feel a little bit bad. So if there's anything you have got your eye on that you would like me to have a look at, let me know. This is one. This is another little one. This is on Binance. So, but as again, I always look for equal measured move 3-wave corrections. And so if we do that here, from the high that we made in April to this low, measure from here, you can see that this is a textbook reversal and we failed to hold above this 61.8 first time. So I like to see if we're building a bigger base here in this one. And the confirmation again is going to be above 2.9, and from the bottom here 2.9 is going to be the first target, and then above 2.9 I'm going to go fib level from. So whenever you have a 3-wave correction like this, I'm going to put my fibs over both swings and we'll go level to level to level. So here you can see we are a little bit sideways at this 236 fib, which is always like your first trouble area level at 2.5. So we can say above 2.5, our first target is 3.06, and above 3.06, we are likely next to go to the 3.5, which is this 50%, and that would be the kiss of death if we fell there, because then it's a 3-wave equal measured move to a 50%. So above that, you kind of need to trade level to level to level with this one, and but because of this big 3-wave correction, I think it really does have potential. So above 2.52, 3.05, 3.49, and then above there should see new highs if we can hold above it. That's one that I'm looking at. Let's take a look at SEI. Can't remember where I've hidden it. I thought I got everything ready and then fail, obviously. Here we go. Never mind, I'll draw a new chart because why not? Let's take a look at the Binance chart. Now this, again, this is another one where I think that we made a really good, this is a really good argument for me for a big 5 waves up, 3 waves back. So if I measure from, again, this high to this low, project it from here, this is one where this second swing was 61.8 of the first swing. So that's happy days. That's a really good sign that we made a bottom. If we measure fib levels from this low to high, we're sideways at the 786 and haven't been able to hold above the 61.8 level, which would tell me that we have made a bottom here. So holding above 0.476 is what we need to see for this to be, this whole correction to be over and in a solidly new upswing. Now, so far, let's take a look on lower time frames. It's a little bit tricky, isn't it? I put all the ones that make these big like corrective moves, right, on my watch list. So this one had a lovely big corrective move, and then I look for the bottoming pattern. Now, when I do that, what I like about this is here we are at the 50% level, which is always a really good place for us to make a bottom. 3 waves back to a 50% retrace for me is my absolute favorite correction pattern, reversal pattern. If I measure from this high to this low and measure from here to here, you see these two swings are equal. So there is loads to like about this. And so a bottom bullish reversal here. This is a daily candlestick, right? So I'm looking on the hourly to see, look, here we are on a sideways range above these highs at 0.38. We are likely to be going higher, and I'm going to have a go at this one. And you know, we'll go level to level to level, and then above 0.47 and holding above 47 should say bottom. So that's what I'm looking for in SEI, and I really do like this 3-wave equal corrective pattern. So I've got my eye on that one. I also, let's find my charts. Yeah, there's quite a few of these. This is Bongo Cat on Solana. I've already talked about, you know, whenever you see these 3-wave measured moves, it's not necessarily a reversal on its own. Whether you use Heikin Nashi or whether you look at price action on a lower time frame or a bottoming pattern, whatever you use, that's kind of what you want to see. So good luck with that. Let me know if there's anything you would like me to look at.